Hi, and welcome to today's episode of Allegiant Web Wise. We've looked at business processes in a couple of our other episodes. Today, we're going to go on a bit more technical route and talk about how you go about setting up and getting the best out of Google My Business. So I'm joined today by Gill and Mike. Hi, guys. And
Hello.
Hello.
Jill's just going to kick off and start taking us through. So, Gill.
Well, first thing I'm going to say is that we're not doing Google My Business. We're doing Google Business Profile, as it's now called. But it's good to raise that fact because some people will use the old nomenclature.
I can't believe anybody would do that, Jill.
Somebody might.
Password to get us started, isn't it? Nomenclature.
Yeah, big word. Okay, I'm going to tell you 9 quick things about how to set up the Google account. Okay, so the first thing you need is a google.com account to set it up. Then you need to go to Google, choose your business or add it. And then you need to choose the type of business it is, whether it's services or physical. Then you need to verify your profile. Then you need to add some services. Then you're going to add your business hours. And you're going to turn the messaging on, very important. Then you're going to add a description of your business. And then you're going to add some photos. And finally, but not least, your phone number. There we go, whirlwind.
Okay, I know there's some bits and pieces I'd like to add to that, but let's pass you over. Any comments on that to kick off, Mike?
Yeah, I'm just going to just the thing on number 3, which is the profile verification. So Google has recently changed the way in which you verify your business. So it used to be that you would type in your business address and you could then get a postcard from them in a few days. And in a few days, you then get a little verification code that you could just type in, and everyone was very, very happy. Well, the goalposts have been changed thanks to Google. And now what they do is they make you take your phone and record a video of you entering the premises, your business premises. So this is for businesses that are physical addresses. And usually they're looking for signage. They're looking to make sure that this business is one that they would like to recommend. And what I've found recently is for anybody that's moved address as well, so this isn't just about setting up, but about moving address, they've had to go through this process. And if you've got a service that you may be providing for your clients where perhaps you might have done this for them, or done the verification, changed the address, you can't do that unless you are prepared to go and physically go to their site and go and do that for them. So just be aware of that. That is a recent change and one to note.
Yeah, I'd just like to add to that, if I may, that if you're working from home, then Mike was talking about signage. I know that if you take your video, walk down the end of your road and take a video of your the road name, come up and then make it clear that the house that you're in is in the same road, then they're happy to accept that. And it's worth noting that you don't have to put your actual home number on your business profile. So once Google have verified it, then they say they won't keep that information and they won't display that information. Because I've got a couple of clients, who are like, well, I want to be shown that I'm in this area, but I don't want my specific home address because I don't take customers into my home address. So you can do that. That's quite possible to do. Another interesting thing is yesterday, having gone through exactly that process, Mike, with one client, I went to put the local Chamber of Commerce on Google Business Profile, went to the verification bit, pressed the button for verification. It said, what's your registered address? I put the registered address in. It sat there for about 30 seconds and then went, okay, you're verified. Nothing else. So it's obviously not consistent depending on who it decides it's verifying. But other than that, yeah, the postcard, which was still in play, I think at the start of this year, has finally gone. So yeah, bit of an
You can still actually request a postcard if you want to, though. I have a great story about the postcards because one of my clients actually is a Scottish clan who have a castle, and the castle was what had to be the address. And of course, nobody lives in the castle because it's 13th century and hasn't got central heating or anything. So they had to request about 10 postcards because the postie didn't know where to put the postcard because there ain't a letterbox in the 13th century castle. So it took quite some time for us to eventually get hold of the postcard. But yeah, there you go.
Yeah, no, it is good. I mean, I've got a business that's also a field, and the same thing. They're like, what do we do? And we tried to get hold of Google, and that's not an easy process, I have to say.
No.
Anyway, okay, that's brilliant. So that's the physical verification bit. Any other bits that you'd like to add to what Gill started out there with, Mike?
No, I think that the when we come into sort of adding addresses and adding phone numbers, it's very important that if you have a website that's not a Google Business Profile website, because those did used to exist, and you could create a website through Google. If you have your own website, it's very important that the address and the phone number match for SEO. It's always been the same because Google looks at it as a trust signal. And if you think about it, the foundation of your business is your website. And from there on in, you're looking to create trust signals to your website from various other platforms. So you might have a Facebook page with an address and a phone number on it. You might have a Google Business Profile with an address and a phone number on it. And these are trust signals, and they are also contributory factors to you ranking higher for your business type.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And consistency as well. So, if you've got road on one of them, don't put RD on another one. Keep it exactly the same. And besides, the social media platforms, the citation platforms as well, things like Yelp, if you're in Checkatrade, anything like that, again, just be consistent across the board. And it just increases your chances of Google actually realizing that everything is the same thing.
Yeah, you will come across a situation where with some of the platforms that you might try and put your address on, that they just report it wrong. Some platforms use Google's own mapping software to search for the address, and sometimes it doesn't come up in exactly the same way, and it can be really, really frustrating. I think over the years, Google's got used to that, and it's not quite as detailed as it was before. But it's still worth noting that as close and as accurate as possible.
Yeah. Okay.
Can I ask, I don't actually know the answer to this, so maybe you guys will. What about your services? When you add your services, should they match exactly what you have on your website as well?
So your services, when you're creating any service, if you've got like a service for an area, and you're writing about that service, then what Google will do is it will match that service up to a page on your website. And it's actually a very good ranking factor as well.
Brilliant.
So think about that. Think about, this is another platform, and it's a very, very powerful platform if you get it right. So, if you've got X amount of characters to write a business description, make sure in your business description, which was the 7th thing that Gill mentioned on the at the beginning, make sure you use all of that real estate to be able to add the keywords that you want to add about your business. Very, very important. I think that it's really, really easy to just add a couple of photographs and add a couple of services and not really think about it. But if you actually get it right, when Google's looking at trust and promoting this business, if you've got a service that's, I don't know, maybe it's a web design service, that you make sure that is clearly marked about what it is you do. And maybe even you can also add your product, which is like a you might do 3 different types of web design, for example, like e-commerce or brochure site or something that's a bit more bespoke, and you can add that in as well with appropriate images.
Yeah, that's really good. And sometimes, not always, but sometimes I find that Google will put suggestions in there for you into your actual profile. And again, if those suggestions don't actually match what you do, or they don't match your website, if you do them, then make sure the two do tie up. If you don't do them, then reject their suggestion, because you again, it's that consistency thing that really makes a difference as to whether this is going to be something that will help you, like Mike said, with your SEO, or is just sitting there as yet another thing that you need to maintain.
And also, when you're looking at your business type, when you're adding your business type, what type of business that it is, have a look at your competitors first. See what it says. So if you do computer repair services in an area and you have people come and physically visit you and you have an office there, then it's the name of that, it's computer repair service is your category. It's the name of the place where you are. So this could be, you know, Market Harbour, it could be Glasgow, it could be Maidstone, it could be anywhere. And then obviously what Google will do is it will show that as a byline, if you like, underneath any reviews that you get as you start to in the main part of your Google business profile.
Yeah, and then they do that little shaded area for the area you cover, don't they? Yeah,
that's correct. Yeah.
So I mean, we've talked about doing this yourself, but I mean, we all do this for clients nowadays. So if we started to think about clients, I don't know about how you guys do it, but what I would do for my clients is I would start right at the beginning, and I would, if they don't have a Google account set up, I would probably actually, even if they do, I would probably set up a new one for them. And then once I'd done all the setup, I would pass that account over to them. Is that something you guys do?
It's interesting. I used to do that, but then Google ends up saying you can only have so many accounts. So now I set up the new business profile account under mine, and then give my client manager and admin permission so that they can then become the owner of that Google business thing rather than me. And I think it's really important, because I've come across quite a few clients of other companies where they've been set up with that company and they haven't been given that access.
Yeah.
You know, and whether we're talking about Google Business Profile or any other thing, clients should always be the owner of that information. It's theirs, it's not ours. So I think that's a really important point.
Yeah. So the two levels are owner and manager. And yeah, I've had that before, when the client is a manager and some other randomer is the owner. And then you've got to, I mean, I think Google now does have a process where you can try and claim ownership. But I suspect, I've not actually gone through that process, so I suspect it's not a very easy process, because none of those type of processes are with them.
I was gonna say, I've been through a few Google processes.
Right.
A single one of them is quick.
They're not all great, are they?
No.
Yeah. So we actually went back to the original person, and they were good enough to switch it. But you know, if there's been a bad blood between that previous supplier, they may just say no, get it.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Not only that, they go out of business as well. You can't get hold of them. You know, they just ghost you.
Right.
And you know, So whenever you're setting anything up, as far as possible, give the client the access they need to be able to make the changes they need, and then keep you in as a manager, because they won't do it, generally speaking.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree.
Do you do any, once it's all set up, Mike, and it's there, do you do any sort of ongoing work with clients' profiles?
I think, yeah, I mean, posting regularly from the profile is also really important. And in fact, it's something that I try to do regularly myself on my own Google business profile. And make sure it's like, again, it's use the real estate. They give you X amount of characters. Make sure you've got a good image that supports it. Show that your business is alive and well and fresh, and that you're paying attention to it. The other thing that I do is when you're linking back to the website, I add something called a UTM source to it, so that we can track in Google Analytics and in Google's Search Console the amount of clicks that you're getting from searches. So what searches you're getting and clicks that you're getting from Google Business Profile. Recently, I did this at the turn of the year with a client. We made a couple of changes to her name, because her name had changed, and it actually changed to be something that was better in terms of Google matching her business to the type of services that she provides. And that saw a massive uplift in her business. And it was so significant that we spoke about it 2 or 3 months later, and I think she was in shock that she changed offices, she'd moved offices, and she also had a change of business name. And it was a really great thing because we put the UTM source in there. It was a really great thing that we could then demonstrate that the work that we've done had a very beneficial effect to her. Now imagine trying to sell that as a service. If you knew the impact of that and you had that almost as like a case study on your website, that you had seen that amount of uplift and you were able to tally up the amount of clicks before and after, then you could sell that as a service to a client. And certainly what you can do is, if you've got somebody that's thinking about it and they've got a Google Business Profile already, and you can see that there's potential in it, then you've definitely got a very good in for that client.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Mike, about selling services and about UTMs. And just to let you guys listening in know, when we go and talk about our analytics in detail, we talk more about UTMs, because like everything else, there's a right way and a wrong way to build them. And if you build them the right way, just as Mike says, it's another service that you can offer and get benefit from. And talking about services on Google Business Profile, obviously you're trying to get as many reviews onto that as possible. And for your clients, again, some clients, they never respond to them, they don't monitor them. It's really good practice to respond to every review. That all helps. So, I've got a couple of clients where I offer that as a service for them. So there's a review, I give a reply. It's relatively generic, but I change it up so it doesn't look like that, of course. And also, you can be posting, as Mike said, on behalf of your clients as well. So just that, again, keeping it dynamic, it's not something that's just set and forget. It's all going to bring a benefit. And it's a very sort of, low entry service that you can provide for clients as a way then potentially into further upsells for SEO, analytics, advertising, etc. Okay, anything else that you want to add to that, Gill?
I think just finally, this is quite important often for trades businesses to have really good Google business profiles, because they often get more business through somebody saying plumber near me or whatever, rather than their website being the all singing, all dancing type. So if you've got trades in or of trades, then I would approach them and offer that as a service.
Yeah, it's a really good point. It gets called different things, doesn't it? The 3-pack, the hamburger, the nap pack, all sorts of the map pack, all sorts of different things. But when you go and do a Google search and you've got those 3 things that come up with the map, they're heavily influenced by the things that we've been talking about today. So that's a really good point, Gill. Anything you'd like to add to round off, Mike?
Yeah, I was about to say something and my brain switched into something else. I'm just trying to remember it.
Age, Mike, age.
Yes, I think I've got it. I think, yeah, it's madness. So the thing about selling this as a service, all right, let's just talk about just that just for a second. Be really, really, really careful, because if you start to get into the realms of selling a service around Google Business Profile, you can very, very easily take someone's Google business profile down. Google is very arbitrary about removing somebody's business profile if it thinks something's a bit weird. I've had experience of it myself, where we were trying to set up like co-locations, which I've done before, all went fine. And then Google decided, nah, I'm not having any of it. And it wiped both out.
Jeez.
So what ended up happening was, of course, I've got a very concerned customer. What's happened to my Google business profile? And it took quite a few weeks to sort it out, because Google doesn't act quickly. Remember, this is a free service that they're offering here. It's not paid. Obviously, if you go down the road of doing Google ads, you can, or obviously with Google ads, you can get Google business profile ad as well. But the thing you need to remember is this is a free service. So it's very arbitrary. So if somebody builds up 100 odd reviews and something goes wrong and you say, oh, I provide a service where we move your Google business profile, be really, really careful when you move. It is a very, very easy thing to get wrong.
That's a really good point. And just wrapping up, I think I'd add on that there are various plugins and automated services that will take reviews to and from Google Business Profile and your website, and some of them automatically filter out the bad reviews. Again, you have to be really careful about those, because, you know, if you breach Google's terms and conditions, then you can find that that's got really, bad results, like Mike was saying. So, yeah, I mean, as with all services that we provide, make sure you know what you're doing. If you want additional help on that, then by all means, reach out. You know, we're here to help you. Okay, I think that's it for today. Hopefully that's given you some ideas on not only how to actually set up Google Business Profile, but some of the things you need to think about around that as well. Thank you again for listening to Allegiant Web Wise, and we'll see you on the next show. Okay, take care. Bye-bye from me.
See you later.
Bye-bye.